fellow Nevillers, here we are back again with another personal share. I've got my nose up in Prayer, the Art of Believing. It's from 1945. The chapter I'm reading is chapter 7, The Greatest Prayer. Let's see what Neville says about this. Imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire and then you believe it to be true. Every dream could be realized by those self-disciplined enough to believe it. Let me pause right here. What's the word? This path of following Neville's teachings, that might not be the best way to describe it. Anyhow, this journey that we are on with Neville's teachings, he's telling us here, every dream could be realized enough. Every dream could be realized by those self-disciplined enough to believe it. My mind is stuck on the self-disciplined part. What I'm learning, fellow Nevillers, it's all about discipline and our, what I call, inner mastery. Just keep doing it, fellow Nevillers. So, self-discipline. It means you really, really, really just have to focus on the solution, on what you want, on what you're trying to manifest. And I just really wanted to make a point of that, fellow Nevillers, because I'm learning it myself. It's all about self-discipline. Now let me quit preaching and continue with the chapter. Every dream could be realized by those self-disciplined enough to believe it. People are what you choose to make them. A man is according to the manner in which you look at him. You must look at him with different eyes before he will objectively change. Two men looked from prison bars. One saw the mud and the other saw the stars. Centuries ago, Isaiah asked the question, who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect, as blind as the Lord's servant? We are the Lord's servant, fellow Nevillers. The perfect man judges not after appearances, i.e. what we see with our eyeballs and what we hear with our ears, what we call our senses, but judges righteously. Righteously is right consciousness, i.e. seeing everyone out there in our 3D world, the way we want to see them. He sees only good in others. In him is no condemnation, for he transforms the world with his seeing and hearing. Neville's talking about us. We can transform our world. That's the power that you have, fellow Nevillers. Me, you, everyone out there. Those of us awakening, realize it and use it. Now Neville shares another Bible quote. The king that sighted on the throne scattered the evil with his eye. And that's what we can do, scatter the evil that we've created. We created this, fellow Nevillers. That's quite a smack when you realise what you've done in your world. It's all you. You know, Neville says no one to change but self. It's all been created by our uncontrolled, unconscious imagining. It's quite a wake-up call when you realise you've done it yourself, fellow Nevillers. Leave a comment down there. I'm sharing all this in my personal journey, and I'm going to awaken you lovelies too via Neville's works. He says, sympathy for living things, agreement with human limitations, is not in the consciousness of the king. because he has learned to separate their false concepts from their true being. And that's another big slap for me. When you look at someone, we have to remember they are Jesus Christ too. They are God. To him, poverty is but the sleep of wealth. Yes, he does not see caterpillars but painted butterflies, to be not winter but summer sleeping, not man in want but Jesus sleeping. We're asleep, fellow Nevillers. Let's wake ourselves up. Jesus of Nazareth, who scattered the evil with his eye, is asleep in the imagination of every man, and out of his own imagination must awaken him by, here's how we see Jesus, by subjectively affirming, I am Jesus. Then and only then will he see Jesus. Right here in this lecture, fellow Nevillers, Neville is showing me, and I'm sharing with you, how to wake up Jesus. He's in you. The holy womb in man's imagination. The holy child is that conception of himself which fits Isaiah's definition of perfection. Heed the words of Saint Augustine. If Neville tells me to heed something, I generally heed it. Pay attention. Too late have I loved thee, for behold, thou were within, and it was without that I did seek thee. I see this, I perceive this today differently than how I did a few weeks ago, where I was like, what's he trying to tell me? So, Saint Augustine, too late have I loved thee, for behold, thou were within. As Neville is constantly telling us, do you not know that Jesus Christ is within you? So, for behold, thou were within. And the second line of the quote, and it was without that I did seek thee. As you know, fellow Nevillers, well, I hope you know, I know, that we've been brainwashed, or let's say this a nicer way, humanity has misconstrued the Bible. Through the centuries, through the ages, we've been led to believe that Jesus Christ is out there, as St. Augustine says, and it was without that I did seek thee. It is your own consciousness that you must turn as to the only reality. There and there alone you awaken that which is asleep. Though Christ 1,000 times in Bethlehem be born, if he is not born of in thee, thy soul is still forlorn. I.e., if we don't wake Jesus up, Jesus Christ, up within ourselves, within our consciousness, if he is not born of in thee, thy soul is still forlorn. Today, I perceive that as we still live in the flame of experience, this world that Neville's told us, I'll leave a lecture reference to the flame of experience I was sent to read and share. So, if you're looking outside for him, you're going to be, as Neville says, or St. Augustine says, thy soul is still forlorn, as in you will still experience the world of limitation, as Neville says, and we're still going to torture ourselves looking for him out there and not in here. We torture ourselves constantly by not realizing our consciousness and our imagination is the only reality. We're looking out here, I have been, to fix things, and it's not done out there, fellow Nevillers, it's done in here. So really, I'm starting to preach here. I better calm down. The whole point of this lecture, fellow Nevillers, is to awaken Jesus Christ and realize what prayer is. Now let's continue. Creation is finished. You call creation into being by feeling the reality of the state you would call. And as Neville says over and over and over again, it's our feelings, fellow Nevillers. A mood attracts its affinities, but it does not create what it attracts. As sleep is called by feeling, I am sleepy, so too is Jesus Christ called by the feeling, I am Jesus Christ. That's what I've been doing the last couple of weeks, months. It may be, actually, I've been saying this to myself as an inner conversation since it popped up in a lecture and a friend's post in the Facebook group I belong to. I really need to leave those links down there, fellow Nevillers, because if you're watching this, you're most likely going to be totally interested in what we share in the Neville group. So, as Neville says here, so too is Jesus Christ called by the feeling, I am Jesus Christ. So we have to feel it. It's part of our journey. When you get to that part, fellow Nevillers, you're going to know. Man only sees himself. Nothing befalls man that is not the nature of himself. People emerge out of the mass, betraying their close affinity to your moods as they are engendered. So if you're sitting around wherever you are feeling wealthy or feeling successful, then successful and wealthy people are going to appear in your world because the person that called them your consciousness is your father. You meet them seemingly by accident, but find they are intimates of your mood. Because your moods continually externalize themselves, you could prophesy from your moods that you would, without search, would soon meet certain characters and encounter certain conditions. I can tell you from personal experience, fellow Nevillers, that's exactly what happens. Mind your moods, mind your feelings, fellows. Therefore, call the perfect one into being by living in the feeling, I am Christ, for Christ is the one concept of self through which can be seen the unveiled realities of eternity. There's about another 5 pages to this chapter, my lovelies. I'm going to quit right here because it's so exciting. Can you imagine this? I am Christ, for Christ is the one concept of self through which can be seen. This is the part that smacks me and makes me feel all empowering. Which can be seen the unveiled realities of eternity. So that's where I'm headed, to see the unveiled realities of eternity. And you can be rest assured I'm going to share it here. If anybody else has any experiences of this, please drop it down there, because I find this totally fascinating. To believe we've got, well, not to believe, to be told, I do believe that we've got all of this in us. So there you go, fellow Nevillers. Have a freaking fantastic, fulfilling weekend, and I will be back tomorrow with some more Nevelations, because I never can get enough Neville. Big fat kiss, because I'm all about love up here. Big fat thumbs up if you found it useful or amusing, fellow Nevillers. I love sharing this stuff, and I will see you next time. Bye, lovelies.